Hi, this is Christina, founder of Symphony, a sales training consultancy and coaching company. So today I would like to share with you the video about the interviews with different types of interviewing personalities. Do you have the jitters when you want to go for an interview? I think it's pretty normal. So one of the ways to keep yourself calm is to have as much preparation as you can. So before that, I would like to give you some preview of the potential types of interviewers who will be meeting you. So the first type are the traditional ones. So they will ask you a series of traditional questions like, tell me more about yourself. What are your key strengths and your weaknesses? What are some of the challenges you have overcome? So what is your vision of yourself in 5 years from now? Why should I hire you? Why are you fit to get into this role? So what is your key differentiator against another candidate? Pretty standard, the traditional interviewers. And the second type of interviewer are the ones that are very practical. So they will be expecting you to give them real case studies. As in, tell me how you closed this deal. What techniques do you use? How do you engage your customers? And if you want even more challenges from them, they will ask you a role play probably. Show me how you would cold call. So tell me, if this is the scenario, how will you react? He may play a very difficult customer and said, show me how you respond in this particular scene. So for that, probably it's hard to predict what would come out. But I think you could still role play some of these very challenging scenarios into your operation so that when such times come, you'll be fully prepared. But of course, this will be granted that you have already garnered all the sales experience and expertise, and with questions like that are thrown at you, you will be able to answer them quite swiftly. Then let's move on to point 3. What happens if you meet interviewers who talk more than you do? They are so enthusiastic to tell you about their company and the role, and then you'll be like taken aback. So you might be anxious about whether you have enough airtime, because usually an interview is structured about 30 to 60 minutes, depending. So then how do you interact with interviewers who talk a little bit too much? So of course, one technique I would like to advise you is that you be conversational with them, you listen carefully, and at the right time politely interject with things like, yes, I agree with you. And yes, it is true. Your product is really top. Well, based on my experience, this is da-da-da, da-da-da. And that is how you sip in a little subtlety into telling them about yourself. Of course, we don't want to be rude or abrupt. So you play by ear to have a conversation and at the same time inject your key strength, your key personalities, qualities as a salesperson into that conversation so that it will not be too skewed, because you don't want to end up a situation when it ends abruptly. So that is what I would like to share, which rarely happens, but if in case it does, you won't be taken off guard. There are also interviewers who are very number driven. So what you do is that you try to memorize the numbers in terms of the sales quota that you have hit. So typically, they would ask you things like, so what was your number for that year? What was your quota? How much did you achieve that year? How much growth have you brought into the company? And even to some details, they may ask you, so who is your biggest client? What is the percentage of revenue they contribute to you? So how do you position yourself, and what are your strategies to grow the business by 5%, 10% on revenue? What formula did you use? What do you think contribute to that growth? And you have to know your numbers, even sometimes to the granularity of what customers' contribution percentage. And even at your own stand, for that particular year, you contributed 25% of the revenue. It is good to have all the statistics at your fingertips before the interview. The last point I have for you, number 5, is instead of you selling yourself, the interviewer is trying to sell you the role and the position. Have you come across such interviews? Well, I personally had come across a couple of those. Why? It could be one reason is because that position is kind of challenging to fill up, and most candidates, even they qualify, they may not want to take up the role, or they just have a difficult time trying to find the right candidate. So they're trying to, so-called, convince you that this is a role that is so exciting for you to hop on. The other reason could be because you are a very, very qualified candidate and they are just afraid to lose you to their competitors. So they're trying to entice you to take on this role, which is, of course, a good sign. So what you need to do is that to show interest, and also before you end of the meeting and you think that this is really a job that you like, what you should do is to summarize how you could match in the roles. Sum it up, 5 interviewer types, and of course there are more, and feel free to drop your comments so that in the next couple of videos we can share a little bit more how to be more well prepared for the various types of interviewers. Thank you.